Tomorrow, the Republican National Committee will vote to elect a new chair. Embattled incumbent Ronna Romney McDaniel, who was anointed by Donald Trump after the 2016 election, faces two challenges for her job. There's Mike Pillow, who remains one of the most vocal proponents of Donald Trump's big lie of a stolen election, and probably makes the best argument that he represents the current Republican Party, and conservative attorney Harmeet Dillon, who has the backing of some prominent Fox News anchors. Now, Donald Trump has not officially endorsed a candidate in the race, but according to Dillon, representatives for Trump are quietly whipping votes for McDaniel. Not wanting to be outdone, Florida Republican Governor Ron DeSantis, a likely 2024 presidential candidate, backed Dillon today, taking a not-so-subtle swipe at his party's losses under Trump.
We've had three substandard election cycles in a row, 18, 20, and 22. And I would say of all three of those, 22 was probably the worst given the political environment of a very unpopular president in Biden. Huge majorities of the people think the country's going in the wrong direction. That is an environment that's tailor-made to make big gains in the House and the Senate and state houses all across the country, and yet that didn't happen. And in fact, we even lost ground in the U.S. Senate. And so, I think we need a change.
Okay, not hard to see the implicit message there. It's almost so glaring it's explicit, right? We lost under Donald Trump. The party needs a new direction, fresh blood. This is just classic DeSantis, right? Subtly swiping at Trump in this safe, pre-planned environment with a friendly host there. It's the kind of scripted stunt he pulls all the time, like when he held a press conference surrounded by uniformed police officers to announce his preposterous voter fraud task force had arrested a bunch of mostly black Florida residents with prior felony convictions who believed they were eligible to vote because they had been approved by registrars, only for the state to turn around and say, actually, they were not eligible. Many of those cases totally fell apart, or in the process of doing so. That's not the point. For DeSantis, looking tough up there, uniformed people behind him, it's all about getting those stage moments. But here's the thing. It's very easy to play the tough guy when you're in a safe space like that, when you're sitting in the governor's mansion with Charlie Kirk. It's much harder when you're actually running a national campaign. Even more so when you're running that national campaign against Donald Trump, who, for all his many, many, many flaws, has proven himself remarkably adept at cutting down his Republican political rivals. And look, it's still very early to be prognosticating about the 2024 election. I have no earthly clue what's going to happen. Just ask the folks who are very confident that Jeb Bush was going to be the Republican nominee this far out from 2016. But for all the hype surrounding DeSantis in certain circles, to my mind, he just hasn't shown much in the way of actual political mettle or the kind of instincts necessary to take on Trump. The same is true for all of Trump's rumored 2024 challengers, like, for instance, former Trump Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, whose shadow campaign for the presidency mostly consists of lame, shady tweets at his former boss, vague allusions to character and leadership. Stuff like, quote, "We were told we'd get tired of winning, but I'm tired of losing, and so are most Republicans." And my favorite, quote, "We need more seriousness, less noise, and leaders who are looking forward, not staring in the rearview mirror, claiming victimhood." Pompeo is much more direct, however, suddenly gets a little tougher, a little braver, when attacking another likely 2024 rival, former Trump UN Ambassador Nikki Haley. In his new pre-campaign book, Pompeo accuses Haley of trying to oust former Trump VP Mike Pence, yet another potential candidate, and replace him on the 2020 Republican ticket. For her part, Haley fired back by accusing Pompeo of, quote, "lies and gossip to sell a book." And this back and forth, there's going to be a lot of this over the next year and a half, as cringy as it may be, highlights the problem Republicans have been refusing to acknowledge for a long time, almost 8 years now. Eventually, Republican presidential candidates are going to need to attack Donald Trump head on. DeSantis, Pompeo, Haley, Pence, any of them are going to have to confront Trump face to face, make the case to Republican voters why they are more electable than he is, and convince their primary voters why they represent Republican values better than the Mike Pillow contingent. So far, none of the serious contenders have been willing to do so. Stunts, sound bites, subtweets, subtext doesn't work. Only gets you so far. It's not a strategy to win a presidential election, and it's certainly not a strategy to defeat Donald Trump.